Hi there. For this week's discussion, I wanted to talk about two things, and to start with the interpersonal communication side. There were two topics that kind of intrigued me the most. That was active listening and attribution. But since I'm doing my presentation on active listening, I would much rather talk more about attribution and I want to use it in my everyday life. And to start, like before this class, I didn't really know what it meant exactly. I've kind of inferred, I've heard it used, but to be in here, read and learn about it, see it defined, see different types of it, was kind of eye-opening and it helped me understand it better. And it was just that understanding that helps me use it in my everyday life because I learned that it was such a subconscious thing that can happen. And yeah, it's like how quickly we can assume or attach this false belief maybe to someone without them doing anything to deserve that belief. And I just think that's a little unfair. And I want to be like as unbiased as I can in most situations. There's obviously exemptions, but in general, that's not a terrible rule to follow. And attribution isn't a bad way to start because I bet you there's multiple times in my lives where I've accidentally or falsely attributed uh, this trait to someone who didn't deserve it. And I don't know, it makes me feel bad. Even if I never talk to the person in a rare instance, it just doesn't seem like the right thing to do. So just by learning about this, I can learn how to avoid it and use it the correct way, maybe towards like positive attributions. And the other takeaway I took from this class for the presentation side of things was how the different like delivery methods of speech worked. Like you have the way of reading from a script, improvising, or reading from like keywords. And it's not those themselves. I kind of understood those, but learning about the pros and cons of each is what inspired me. I feel the rest of the presentation topics seemed a little redundant. They just seemed like things I already knew or maybe already practiced. So, but I didn't know about these different methods. And so to learn the pros and cons of each was like, oh, okay. Kind of opened my eyes because I've typically always read from keywords, keynotes, but by seeing the strengths and weaknesses of each of them, maybe I could pick out like bits from each of them to help make a perfect speech as opposed to just following one way of doing it. And so that was new to me and something that was kind of inspiring and something I want to use more as I present or share ideas. And I'm sure presenting is just starting in my future, and there'll be lots of it. But those were about the two things that I learned from both the presentation and interpersonal communication that kind of stuck out the most to me. And yeah, I think that's about all I got.